Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of What's Happening. I'm George Binns, and our guests this evening are Judith Cronin and Marge Cregg. And as you can see from the banner when it comes up, the issue we want to revisit today is the Cornerstone program. And as a little background, a little over a year ago, we had a discussion with Chris Lavasco and Scott Hitchcock about the impending Cornerstone program. And it was supposed to start rolling out last fall. And it was going to be a progressive rollout through all 9 of the, the facilities that make up the greater, actually it's the North Shore YMCA as opposed to Greater Beverly, yeah. So I assume by now the Beverly YMCA has been indoctrinated. You're in the program. Mm-hmm. Which, were you the guinea pigs, the first ones, or did somebody else get the...
Yes, Beverly was the first.
So you were the first ones. Wow.
Pilot, yep.
How did it go?
Yep. From the very beginning, it went very well. I think our challenge was to make sure that the community understood what the program was and was spreading the word so that those that were interested or needed us came to us. So it was not a flashy sort of announcement. We came on a show like on Local Access, and we've put a couple of articles in the newspaper, but most of the time it has been through a word of mouth. Mm-hmm. A lot of our members, as everybody knows, this is it's a program based on cancer survivors, cancer patients, and their families and caregivers. And what we've learned is there isn't a person in our membership that hasn't been touched by cancer in some way. So once they fully understood what the program was, it was very easy for them to talk to someone that they knew that could use it.
Well, when we had the discussion last year with Chris and Scott, they were talking about several aspects of the program, from daycare for patients who needed to park the kids someplace while they went off to chemo or needed some spare time. What actually rolled out on this thing? What is the program exactly running now as opposed to what they were talking about last year?
I think a lot of the components that you talked about last year are actually happening. I mean, certainly the daycare component is a key component. A lot of people, as you've said, they're going to their appointments, but if they don't have daycare, they often miss their medical appointments, which are so important, especially to someone with cancer. So to have that available, and it's not even just daycare, really, they know they're leaving their child in good hands, and there's going to be a lot of activity for the child while they're there is great. But there are other pieces of Cornerstone that have also proven to be very effective. They're educational offerings. There was one recently, a lecture, someone from MGH who came and was talking about almost lifestyle with cancer, and had a great turnout of people coming to learn more and bond with others who are sort of facing the same thing. With children, the offering of kids going to camp in the summer. So every child whose parent is certainly dealing with cancer, and the reason that they are in Cornerstone, is offered the opportunity to go to camp, and each one of our Ys has a fantastic camp, for a week or more, if it can be worked out over the summer. It's just a terrific offering, for kids. So, and then certainly for the caregiver to have that access to the Y and a membership. We all know that cancer, a lot of times it's a caregiver that is hurting as much or more than the cancer patient because they're providing so much. And so for them to have somewhere to go to is terrific.
Well, when we were talking last year, it was a little fuzzy in my mind, is when you say you're offering a program, I know one of the things that Chris emphasized is that normally there is a drop-off center at the Y for the kids when the parents want to work out or go to a class or something like that. That's normally a 2-hour kind of program, but it's part of the membership of the Y, right? Mm-hmm. And when somebody has to go off to a doctor's appointment or go off to a chemo session, that's several hours longer. So how much longer can a parent depend upon the services of the Y being able to take good care of their kid while they're being taken care of?
we've established a different protocol when it comes to Cornerstone versus a regular typical membership. Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to design the program to meet the needs of the people that are using it. So for members who want to use our babysitting, or it's called Kids Club, they're there for a couple of hours to work out, and then they're able to use the Kids Club. But because this program is so unique, it's taking a different path. We typically don't allow our members to leave the premises while their kids are in the babysitting, but for Cornerstone, because we've set it up differently, it follows a little bit more of a child care model. The Y is the largest provider of child care on the North Shore, so we really know how to take care of young children, and we know all of the parameters and health and safety regulations around that, so we institute those policies within the environment of Cornerstone if they're there for an extended period of time. So we also do have our child care available in addition to the babysitting room. So if it's for a longer period of time, if it maybe is the whole day, we would find a place for them in our child care center where it's a full day program for other children as well. So it transcends both the babysitting and the child care.
So one of the advantages of this synergy with the Y is that you already have a staff of trained, experienced providers, and it's not like you're bringing in a bunch of volunteers and, hey, guess what you're doing today, kind of thing. And so it makes a lot more sense, I think, to expand on the existing program. And I think Chris was mentioning last year something about you get anybody with a cancer situation gets a 1-year membership. What happens after that?
So after the 1 year, and we haven't come up on the 1 year yet, but after the 1 year, then the idea is that they would get their own membership in the Y and be fully, integrated and continue their relationship with the Y. So because Cornerstone is new, it really did launch last fall, we haven't come up on that 1 year mark yet to see how that transition works. And certainly our hope is that if they are enjoying the Y and doing well and all of that, that they will choose to become a member of our organization.
So I guess the issue I'm creeping up on slowly is there are going to be some people who are so financially strapped that a full-blown Y membership is just another hassle that they just don't need. And Chris has emphasized, I guess, a couple of times that the Y does make accommodation for people. So I guess this accommodation is going to be on a case-by-case basis, obviously, but you're willing to bend the rules, whatever you want to call it.
And it actually wouldn't even be bending the rules because we have an established financial assistance program at the YMCA. It's an income-based sliding income scale financial assistance program. So if a Cornerstone participant wants to transition onto their own membership, all they have to do is come and apply for the financial assistance program should they feel that they aren't able to make the financial commitment. So that's for everyone. That doesn't mean it just has to be a Cornerstone participant. Okay. It's for everyone that comes through the door. And I think Chris might have mentioned the beginning of the mission statement saying our Y welcomes all. Yeah. And truly that is the case from any background, financial background, from any part of our city or our service area, any circumstances. We're trying to meet people where they need us. So that's an extension of our regular financial assistance program.
It does make the organization unique because we offer so much, but we offer a soul behind it. The Y really does care about people. And so, if there is a situation where a Cornerstone member, it's going to be tough to become a member, I think the Y will do anything it can to help and assist that person to be able to continue with their program.
Well, since you were the first inaugurated group in this thing, have you learned anything that you didn't expect? And are you considering maybe some changes to Cornerstone because now you've got the experience, you know what the real problem is as opposed to, I think I know what it is?
Well, I think a lot of us had experience with cancer in either a lot of personal situations for our staff members as well as family members. So we understood the needs of not only the patient, but the family members, the caregivers. So I can't say there's been a circumstance where we haven't been able to accommodate it. I think the story that I found most shocking was when a father reached out to me because they had just had a newborn baby and had a cancer diagnosis of the baby at 3 months, which was not what we typically expected in Cornerstone. We were looking at adults that have been dealt this hand midlife rather than an infant at the beginning of life. So that was very much supportive of the parents and their needs as they struggled emotionally and trying to deal with a very, very difficult diagnosis. And they were referred to us by another member, a member not in the Cornerstone program, a YMCA member, and were encouraged to call us because it's a difficult phone call because it sort of puts yourself out there. It's a very personal situation, and we found that in the beginning it started off slow and then picked up traction very quickly. So once people became involved, then they told people, then those people told other people, and it just snowballed. In the beginning, it was very, very a slow entrance for people, but then it's caught. And we're about 2,000 people right now that are involved in the program. So it's, in a very short period of time, a lot of people have come our way, which is terrific.
Yeah.
I think the other thing, too, is just learning. The challenge for us, too, is to make sure that we continue to offer something that is going to support the Cornerstone patient, but also that we almost figure out what our lane is. We're not the doctor. We don't provide medical advice nor medical support. That's not what our staff is trained to do. So we actually are putting together a task force that includes medical professionals and people involved in the program this summer to talk about, really making sure that we are staying true to who we are and offering what that need is. And I think we know what we're offering is a healthy lifestyle. Mm-hmm. So whether it's obviously the working out component, but also the educational component, we know there are topics, nutrition is a big one that people would like to learn more about. That's what we can do, and that's what we can do well. So, and it's also growing our community partners so that together, in total, we are offering a full picture for this cancer patient so that they've got outlets in every aspect of their life that are being served.
Well, you talk about this joint exercise, if you will, of getting lots of people involved in this thing. How is the local medical community reacting to this additional resource relative to, say, a hospice or some of the other more classical treatment kind of approaches?
Our medical professionals that we've been close to in our community feel that it's a nice alternative to be able to speak to a cancer patient about. Most of their discussions are very clinical in nature, and this is a little bit of a different scope for them to pursue with the patient. It's more of a holistic approach to their health rather than a pure clinical approach. So they're actually welcoming the opportunity to talk about it and to refer. And they love the idea that it's a non-fee-based program for participants, because the last thing you want to do for a person that's in a chronic disease situation is recommend something for them that they then have to outlay money to participate.
Insurance doesn't cover it.
No. Yeah. So that makes it even more appealing for the physicians and the nurses to be able to direct folks to the Cornerstone program, because they feel that it is just another way with which that the patient can deal with their situation that is not clinical and not about appointments and medical procedures, and more about taking care of their community of people that have been helping them.
And the beauty of it, too, is having different hospital groups that often are coming together to support this. So it is something that everyone understands the need for it. It's easy to understand when you go from 0 to almost 2,000 people in under a year. Mm-hmm. Clearly that, we were right that the need is there. And so having community partners that are professionals and coming together to help us really fine-tune what we're offering is extraordinary. It really is. So
when you say 2,000 people, is that all just cancer patients, or is that cancer patients plus family?
That's everyone that's participating.
Okay,
so we consider everyone
size,
as a cornerstone,
Yeah.
Whether it's the patient, the caregiver, the family member. And we've had siblings of cancer patients be caregivers that aren't related join in. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to establish a community of people that are supporting each other. So as Marge had mentioned, some of the events that we run as part of Cornerstone, I think the social community networking piece of it is really something that I think the Y has a unique ability to offer, which is a community of people, so they feel like they belong, that they're not out there alone. We heard from a lot of cancer patients in our original program, which was called Live Strong, which was just for a patient-based program, that there were so many other people in their lives that they felt that they needed support, but there wasn't a program for them. They knew that we were taking care of them as the patient, but there was a whole host of other people that needed support. So I think that got, I know Scott Hitchcock was a leader in the thinking of developing this program, got him thinking that, boy, there's a need. We have an ability to meet that need. We have facilities, we have staff, just as you mentioned, we have programs. Why don't we open it up to this community of people?
So then then it was you get them to join, but are they really going to use it? Are they really going to come? And we already know that over 13,000 Cornerstone folks have a scan card that designates Cornerstone. So we know that there's been over 13,000 scans from Cornerstone members already in this program, in the WISE, which is amazing. So they are joining and they are coming. Yeah.
Well, one of the other things that they mentioned last year was a lot of people would run into problems with transportation, getting to and from some of these sessions. And know from personal experience that when somebody's on chemo, they're not in any condition to drive or go for radiation, all that kind of stuff. And there was some talk about coming up with some sort of volunteer program or something to find people alternate routes to get to back and forth to their various appointments. Has that worked out, or is that still in planning, or what?
I think that's something that we're still working on. Transportation is definitely a need. It's a need not only with Cornerstone, but with a lot of different programs at the Y. So, but if we bring it back to Cornerstone, it's one of the topics that we're analyzing this summer on how can we offer that? What is that next step that we could make that more accessible? Some of it is honestly a funding issue too. So as we are raising funds for Cornerstone, and we launched it, when we launched it last fall, we have a major event annually, our annual gala. And within that gala, there is a Fund a Need initiative, and that's a program at the Y that we want everyone to raise their paddle and get a certain amount of money to support it. Last year at the gala, Cornerstone was that program. It had just launched. No one knew anything about it. We were very fortunate that someone in our community helped develop his expertise is marketing. He developed a video that was compelling, and over $425,000 was raised just that night for Cornerstone, and that was almost $200,000 more than the year prior for another program within the Y. So, that sort of launched this fundraising piece that we need to continue, and as we grow that, we will also be able to grow some of the things like transportation.
Yeah, because transportation gets to be a very messy problem in that, you need help to get there and back. But if you're asking volunteers to carry somebody in their car and they have an accident, all of a sudden there's insurance problems they have to be wrestled with.
Right.
That's a knotty one. I wish you luck on that thing. That's going to be a tough one to crack. Yeah. What other problems or concerns or extensions of the program are you working on?
Well, there are three components that we're looking at this summer. One is the patient experience. It's to make sure that two things: that we continue to keep them engaged, we continue to offer what it is that they need. But the second thing is making sure that we have outcome measurements, that we know that what we're doing really is working. And, some of those might be just secondary research says that, and therefore we're offering this program. And some of it might be an actual measurement of the individual. And that's why we're bringing the professionals together this summer to help us determine what those measurements are. The second thing is fundraising. It is a topic everyone can understand, everyone can get their arms around, but it's expensive when you go to 2,000 people all of a sudden and growing, and we welcome that. But we want to make sure that we are going down every avenue we can, whether it's grant support, whether it's additional community partners, individual support, all of that to continue to grow that. And then the third is marketing and communications. I think when Chris was here a year ago, he said to you how the Y has a philosophy for every person that we have is taking advantage of what we offer. There's someone out there that probably doesn't know what we offer and could use our help. And so how do we continue to market and communicate this great program, not only to the patient themselves and their families, but to our donors, our partners, the community in general, to make sure that that message is clear.
Well, last year I mentioned to Chris and Scott that I had gone to the open house you had for the extension of the property, the program, and there was a couple of videos that you showed there that I've been a member of the Y for 50 years. This Y, before that it was Providence, but that's another story. And there's a whole bunch of stuff going on that happened I never heard about. And I think there's a serious problem that I'm not sure it's been resolved yet of how do you get the word out, not only to people who have cancer, but to everybody in general, because, hey, I'm never going to get cancer. And the next thing you know, what's that funny spot, and next thing you know, you are one of them. And these are the people that need to know in advance that, hey, if something happens, I can do something about it, or somebody's there to help me. Or if I know somebody that's got a problem, oh, yeah, we go down to the Y. And I just don't see that happening. And that's the thing that bothered me last year, and I guess it still bothers me because, all you see around the Y is the big blocks of people's pictures on it. What more can you do?
Quite frankly, that's been a topic of conversation that all of us continue to wrestle with regarding how do we tell the Y story? How do we make sure that our community understands that, number one, we're here for them. So if there's something that they need to come and ask, we most likely will have something to satisfy their need. But we struggle because we offer so much. We offer from everything from early infant child care to senior balance programming to teaching autistic children how to swim and everything in between. What we have admitted to ourselves is we can't be everything to everybody. So let's do what we're doing really well, and let's focus on that and make sure that the community understands it. But even that, there is a lot of us, a lot to talk about, and there's a lot of stories to tell. So we actually rely on our membership to really spread the word. We rely on our volunteers, with over 2,000 people volunteering for the Y. There's just an inherent advocacy group in that amount of people that can go out and talk to the rest of the community to say, hey, did you know about the Y and what it does? We like to think that most people in the community either work at the Y, are related to somebody at the Y, or know somebody at the Y. So when you have, just for Beverly, when you have almost 12,000 members, 40,000 people in the city, there's got to be some sort of a connection. So, but you're right, it's something that we all struggle with a lot of the times, because mostly everyone that listens to us says, I never knew that. I didn't know that the Y did that. So it's a challenge.
Personal experience. I'm talking to the guys at the Y this morning about what are you going to do today? Well, I'm going to have Judith on the show and Marge, and we're going to talk about Cornerstone, huh? And there are people, they're on the floor at the Y, on a machine doing something. And Cornerstone...
So that it is on us. Sometimes you get so involved in in the program itself and people really making these programs happen and doing this wonderful work that's in the Ys, that you just sort of assume people know, and they don't. So we are also working on an impact messaging plan. Certainly volunteer-based is the most effective communication, but we also know our shortcomings, and we're trying to address those with better impact messaging.
I'll give you another example. Last year when we were doing the show, Scott mentioned, we have the Kids Club. So I asked, okay, what's the Kids Club? I know what it is, but, it's one of these things that when you're on TV, you got to get these things translated for the general audience. And one of the guys that looked at the show later on, I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. And, to my way of thinking, it almost needs like you need a list at the front door. This is what we do here, kind of thing. And
well, what I've been accustomed to is that with so many members, they end up finding their lane in the Y. Yeah. So, for instance, if you don't have children and you're just at our Y as a single adult, you find what you need there. And a lot of the times the other things that are going on aren't of interest, and so you're not taking the time to go figure that out. Yeah. If you're a mom with small children, you don't have enough time to go upstairs in the fitness center, you might get them in a swim lesson, then that's your focus. So I think our ability to serve a diverse population is part of the appeal of the Y, because, again, there is something for everyone. Yeah. And to tell it in a 5-second soundbite is very, very difficult. But to experience it as a member and to understand the full complement of what we have to offer, I think is the best way to learn about the Y.
Mentioned to one of the guys this morning that the Y is almost like the old Roman Forum. You can find somebody on the floor that knows about just about anything. And I don't know how many times I've had a problem or somebody has had a problem. Oh, yeah, you go see Harry over there. He knows about this. And you get an awful lot of information traveling back and forth. And we had, I think, Rihanna on the show a couple of years ago, and we got talking about the cost of the Y. And he says, well, it's not just you show up, work up a sweat, and go home again. It's an experience. And I think the breadth of the experience at the Y is something that just isn't said. It isn't coming out as strong as it really is.
I think there are the obvious experiences. There are the activities that you're doing there. Yeah. But then there's the experience that's not so obvious, and it is that with all of the people around you at the Y, you really don't know anyone's background. Yeah. You don't know anything about them other than you're all there enjoying the Y. And there aren't many environments where that's the way it is. It just is everyone enjoying this one thing together. It's extraordinary.
Believe it or not, we've run out of time. We got a minute left.
Wow.
What's the last message you'd like everybody to remember from this?
To want to learn more. To, if you're not in a Y, to come and experience what a Y is all about, and to reach out to us if you'd like to learn more about the cancer program. It is doing great things, and the unfortunate thing is we have a very large population in Essex County who is dealing with this. So help us spread the word and know that we've got great opportunities at the Y.
Well, thank you very much for joining me this evening and spreading the word. And like I say, I've been a member of the Y for 50 years, and I'm there 6 days a week, so you're preaching to the choir. But for the rest of you out there in television land, it's a great experience. It's something that everybody needs to know about, because you don't know when you're going to need the help that they are providing. And thank you for joining us this evening, and we'll be talking to you later.